I want to go over the hardware system here. You can see right here is metric, the painted red. You have your labels there and the bins. Okay, so all of this red section is metric. These here are, everything's individualized. It starts with 1/4 inch and then down. Starts with your nuts, your washers, and then it keeps going down in different bolt lengths. So 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8, and then over here we have some machine screws. But you can see if there's not a label for a bin, like if over here we have an odd screw, like right here, this is an odd 3/8 stainless steel carriage bolt, we have a bin for it. Now this should be better organized and properly labeled, but this is the general consensus. When you open this bin, you can see right here it's 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch long. There's stainless steel, there's a button head, there's black oxide. So if we can have a bin for something, that's ideal. But these over here are something we don't use a lot of. Now one thing that people always tend to do is they just tuck stuff in here. Right here is a bunch of polytube fittings. So the polytube fittings, they go right over here. This cabinet is our air fitting, so we have our metric and our imperial air fittings. So these ones here that we found on the shelf, you can tell by right there, so it's an 8mm. So right here, 8mm air fittings. We can put this in here. Usually we like it nice and organized. There's bags for different things, but this is at least a start. Better than underneath on a cabinet that no one's ever going to see. Like this right here. These are all conveyor parts. So these are conveyor guides. If you're not sure, you can ask someone what this goes on, because it's more complex than just a piece of hardware. So I'll show you where we keep some of our conveyor parts. Here are our conveyor parts. So you can see we got some motors up here. Down here we have some our legs and rollers. So right here is some legs, feed inserts. So we can throw these in here. These are guide clips. So these go onto conveyor guides. So we can put the clips in there. Rivets that hold on the edge of belts. So that can go in here because this is conveyor stuff. This isn't a conveyor thing, that's a pipe part. So that can go over there. So just something to keep in mind. These right here, here's an example. These are conveyor value guide rails. They clip on. Those shouldn't be up there, they should be down here. Like if you had some stainless steel bolts that could go in here, there's no sense putting it over here. What we can do is get a divider from some of the bins laying around, and we can put it in, and you can put the bolts in. Now make sure you tape these. You can see it's taped in there because they'll flick out, and the bolt will get all mixed up. So make sure you tape them in there. If you're unsure when you're putting hardware back, watch this video right there, and that'll help you identify bolts. Use a vernier, use a thread pitch gauge. Check it with an existing bolt that you know for sure, thread a nut on, but do not cross-contaminate these bolts, because that is a big problem, and if you do it more than once, you will be written up. Like random bolts like this, we're not going to organize that. We'll keep the bin around. But here's an example. Here's 1/2 inch bolts with a fine thread. So this wouldn't go in our 1/2 inch hardware. This would go into the side. When you're doing this, don't just trust the name on the bag and the labels. You can double check that, right? So because our 1/2 inch is all going to be full with standard stuff, we can throw it in here. Here's 1/2 inch 13, and these are grade 8 nylock nuts. Here in our nut bin, let's pull this out and take a look. See right here we have nylocks, but these are actually grade 8, so those can't go in there. And you can see when you're looking at this and you see this is stainless steel nut, that actually goes in the one in the back of it. So just, if you see stuff like this, try to keep up on it, because it's very important. So these are going to go over there. See any random bolts like this around here. So this is all going to be cleared off, and it should stay consistently clean. So if you see something like this and Mike tells you to scan the video and put the parts away. Another box that's on this that kind of got hidden away. These are bearings. So if the part is going back, it needs to be returned. So the part, if these are actually supposed to be returned, so they should be right up here. Now over here you can see these are damaged tools that need to get fixed. But for the most part, a lot of this can get cleaned up, and we'll show a picture of some shaft collars that were left over from a job. I'll show you those. You can throw the shaft collars. If you need to make up temporary stickers, what you can do is in this label maker, you can see right here, they're the long stickers. We have like bigger ones, small ones. So this is already set up. So what you can do, what was your bolt size?
5/16.
5
by 3/4. Stainless steel hex caps.
by stainless steel, and then you click print, and that'll print off. If you need to find this, this is the Dymo label V8, and if you need to find the right stickers, there's either saved labels. You can go down here, and then you find the right size. You can open this, and then you can, no, I don't want to save this, but you can open this, and in insert you can edit these boxes, so you can delete this, you can add your text in there. Change out the different sizes in here. There's an eject button. Press that, roll this spool up, pull this out. You pull this off. Be careful not to unwind this. That can go here. Make sure you put it the right way. Drop it down there. Put it in there. You got to adjust this guide sometimes. Now, if you adjust that sticker size, odds are it's a saved sticker, so you can go into labels, and this is this size. So if you want to make it a little one, you can edit this, go back into insert, press delete, and say test, and then you click print, and it'll ask you if you've changed the label. That's right, you print it. There you go. The odds and ends like this, just if you don't know where it goes, like little bolts and stuff, they can just get thrown out. So I don't, again, like someone putting this there shouldn't be there. All this, it's either it's got a place or it gets thrown out. I have a big box filled with hardware. You can see this is actually, this whole box is filled with these bolts there. So what I do is I just tape it on the box for now and throw it up there. Same thing with this. This is filled with stainless steel lock washers. So just if you see, if the bin's full, if over here is full, we can throw it up there, properly label it, and tape the bolt in the front of it, and we should be good. Got 3 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch stainless steel button heads. Let's look to see if there's a spot. So 1.25 inch, 1.5 inch. There's not a spot. So what we can do is, there's actually room here, we'll make one. Back, we're going to create a spot here. I'm going to put a little label there, and we're going to replace this label in the back as well. We got that all set up. If you can, tape it in the back, that's best. A pile of these, looks to me like it's a 3/8 stainless steel flathead. So when you look at this, the bolt is actually measured from the top of the flathead down to the bottom, whereas like a normal conventional hex head bolt is measured from the bottom of the head back there. So what you can do is just grab the bolt and do this, and then we know we're in the right area. And then what you can do too is if double check the thread pitch, and if you can line the two up there and they fit in perfectly, we know we're 3/8, because that's the best way to check it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make another spot in this bin. If you come in here, you can see we got lots of room, so we're going to make a spot in this bin and throw it in. So there's a pile of these. We'll put them up here so people can access them. We'll put them in a little bin. But if you notice, when you put this in, it doesn't quite fit. This is for a bin previous to this. So I just get a pair of side cutters, and I just cut this off. Don't make it too big because bolts will fall through, but for the majority of what we're doing, as long as it's not little machine screws and we tape it up fine, it'll be good. So just make sure this will fit. Yeah, that's a bit there. That looks good. So then I'll tape this in. This is an old label, so I'll try to peel it off if I can. These are kind of tricky to get off, but I'll always put it backwards and I'll tape it in. This one here is a galvanized bolt. This is zinc coated. So you can compare, and don't mix these up. Same thing with the washers. You'll be fighting with this when you go to assemble something and it's got different colored hardware and washer sizes and everything. So this, if there's not enough room in this bin, we'll throw it over there. Keep in mind there are two types of flat washers just in general. There's SAE, which is a smaller washer, and the other one I have in my hand is a different type. So you can see they're both 3/8 washers. Don't put them in the SAE bin, because when you go to put a conveyor together or a machine together, and there's one this big and one that big, it becomes a nightmare, and then someone has to pick them all out. So don't do that. Here we can add another piece in here. You got to keep this barcode with this bolt, because the Fastenal tech will come there and scan this to replace this bolt. So if you go to put more bolts in here, make sure you move this forward with the corresponding bolt, just like this. So you can see I moved this forward, added a label here, added that spot there. They're going to come and scan this number when they need to replace this bolt. There's a piece of key stock. We're going to go and put that where it belongs. So in this cabinet here, right here, it's labeled key stock. That can go back there. These are little T-slot nuts. These pieces, these are T-slot nuts. That's a T-slot long nut. These all go with extruded aluminum. Same thing with these. Extruded aluminum tubing has slots in it that allows you to clamp things on. T-slot tubing, so you can end up putting those slotted nuts in here. You can look at putting, tapping this end and bolting stuff in. So that's what that special hardware is for. Majority of the time it's metric, but it can be imperial as well. Here is a Rivnut tool, and here is all the Rivnut. So Rivnut looks like this. So what a Rivnut does is a special tool applies it, and it puts a threaded insert in light duty sheet metal or tubing. So keep that in mind. I mentioned before the SAE washer. So this is a 5/8 SAE washer, and the other type of washer is called a USS. Now you can see the difference between the two washers. So keep that in mind whenever you're assembling or putting away washers. You see this is a 5/8 nut and this is a 5/8 nut. The difference is the thickness. This is a jam nut and this is a normal hex head nut. So always keep that in mind. These are used for snugging bolts with nuts on it, and just more of a locking situation. Here is a lot of the tubing, poly tubing. Use this little hook to reach up and grab it and put it back up when you're done. So generally all airline tubing, that stuff goes up there. So in summary, if there's something that you put a special place in, or you put a bolt in, make sure you put a label on it. Now, put a label on everything. If you have any questions, ask anyone. Compare to existing. Do not just go and put bolts wherever, because when we go and do this and we make a big mess like in here, it takes a long time to clean up. So this video is a summary of how to clean this up, and it's just stay on top of it. When we come back from a job, pack away the existing hardware, we finish up something and put it away. So you can see everything's kind of nicely labeled. There's empty spots. Everything here is nicely labeled. Over here, things are labeled where they're supposed to go. So that's what we expect here.